Hi everyone, welcome to my lesson. I'm very happy to having you in this section. Today we are going to learn about fractions. We begin with a definition of what fractions are. A fraction simply tells us how many parts of a whole we have. You can recognize a fraction by the slash that is written between the two numbers. We have a top number, the numerator, and a bottom number, the denominator. So, in this section, we have three different types of fractions, which is proper fraction, improper fraction, and the last one is mixed fraction. Let me give you some information about proper fraction. Proper fraction is one where the numerator is less than the denominator. And the improper fraction is one where the numerator is greater than the denominator. And the last one is mixed fraction. Mixed fraction had a whole number part and a fraction part. Now, I don't want you thinking that you will only use fractions in math classes. Fractions are around you every day of the week. For example, let me give you one example. In the meal receipts, cooking for 5 people but the receipt serves 10, what you are going to do? You will need to use fractions to divide in the ingredients. What about the second example? Let's talk about a jewelry. So 24 carats is pure gold and 18 karat is 18 over 24, which equals 75% of gold. Using fractions to understanding jewelry purity cult, you save your money. Now, let me give you some further information and further illustration examples from our real life. Let's take a look at this presentation. We use fractions every day without even knowing it. So, can you just guess what is our next example? Here it is. A pizza is a great example of fractions. Actually, when you order your pizza, most of the time it comes by 8 slices or 6 slices. Is that right? If you eat just some of them, how you can just illustrate or say your fractions? For example, when you had a pizza by the 8 slices and you ate just 2 of them, so it means that 2 over 8, because 2 slices out of 8. So what's next? Here we have a fruit. So fruits just also can be a good example from our real lives. Can you guess just why? Because every day, every time, we cut an apple, an orange, or any kind of fruits in some different parts. For example, one apple should be divided in 4 pieces, or another orange should be divided in by 2 pieces. And how many the part of that you are going to eat, just you can find by the fraction. So what is next? Here it is. We have another example about a money. So for example, a quarter is 1/4 of a dollar. It means that 1/4 dollar. So in our real life, for everywhere or anytime, we use our fraction. So what else? Let's see that. Here it is. We have a topic which is being in your course books on the page 70. Can you now just open your books, please? The page 70. And look at our main topic, fraction. So I will give you the definition of fraction in mathematics. Here we are. A fraction is a number that represents a part of whole. A fraction written in the form of P over Q, where the Q is not allowed to be a 0. Because if your denominator will be 0 as a Q, so this fraction will be a noun. A fraction is a way of writing numbers that are not whole numbers. So the fraction have 2 parts, which is numerator and denominator. I just told it to you. So here it is, just one example given by me, 3/4. In this 3/4 fraction, we call the numerator is 3 and denominator is 4. Actually, I don't have to remember all the time this point, okay? Because you know all of them. So what is next? Look at this. Another our subtopic is about finding equivalent fractions, decimals, and percentages. Actually, in this part, we will use the chord which is made by the lots of squares. Actually, in the base, I use the squares by the hundredth. Why? Because the hundred is very easy to calculate about the percentage. Look at this example. This chord made by the hundred of squares, and some of them are shaded. Out of this 100 squares, how many of them are shaded, guys? 50 of them. Can you see that? 50, it means that the half of this chord. So how can we write in mathematics this fraction? 1 over 2. Do you agree with this? If you yes, let me just explain why. Because 1 over 2 illustrates the 50 over 100, which is out of 100, the 50 of them shaded in the figure. So it's about 50%. So it is here we have another example which is 1 over 10. Why it's 1 over 10? Because there's only 10 squared. The squares are shaded out of the 100 squares. So it illustrates by the 1 over 10. If you want to write in the percentage, you're supposed to write by the 10%. Because out of 100, just only 10 of them shaded. So it means 10%. So the last one, 3 over 4, it illustrates by the 75. 75 squared chords are shaded. So we write them 75 over 100. If you use calculator, you will have 0.75. Actually 0.75, it means this decimal number. But when you convert decimal number in the fractions, you will have 3 over 4. But even if you need one more further convert in the percentage, you're supposed to write by the 75%. And so on. Okay, let's see. What's next slide? Here it is. Equivalent fractions. Guys, what does it mean, equivalent fractions? Do you have any idea? If you don't have, let me just explain. In this section, actually, in this fraction section, we actually use the simplifying method. So the most of time, your fractions should be simplify each other. Such as here, in the first example, it is given by 15 over 100. So the number 15 and 100, they have a common factor that can be divided them each other. So if you divide your 15 by 5 and 100 divided by 5, you will have 3 over 20. That is the last answer about the fraction part. So here it is. The second one is given by the 90 over 100. So 90 over 100 can be eliminated, or let me just say 90 over 100 that can be simplified by what number? 9, 8, or 10. That's better. You can simplify both numerator and denominator side by 10. Why? Because after you divided your fraction by the 10, 90 divided by 10 will be, the left is 9. 100 divided by 10, it's going to be left just 10. Okay, now let's see what is next. And here is another example was given to you, 71 over 100. Actually, 71 over 100 cannot be simplified each other because those two numbers, they don't have any common factor. Okay, here it is. I have a good news for you guys. If you pause this video, you can have your own activity by working with yourself. So, I have some numbers with decimal and with percentages, even with fractions. If you pause this video and prepare yourself one piece of paper and write them all these numbers in a paper and cut out all of them and try to match for each numbers values between each other. So it should match with them by 1, by 2, or by 3. But even just one of them is not matching with these numbers. So which card is the odd one cow? If you are going to interest about, you can just study on yourself. Okay? This is activity at home for you. Here we go. Adding and subtracting fractions. So this part is very significantly important for about fractions. Why? Because as you see the shape, what kind of shape is this? Do you have any idea? This is a polygon. So this polygon is divided by 5 sides. And how many sides is shaded by the orange color? Just only one, right? For the left side, the first polygon shape is just shaded by 1 orange color. So it means that out of 5, you just shaded 1. So it means 1 over 5. The second one is 2 over 5. And if you just read this part of definition about the different denominators, you will understand better how to calculate adding or subtracting our fractions. Because when the fraction have different denominators, you can no longer simply count the pieces because they are not all the same size. So, because of these two denominators are same, you can just add them each other and answer will be 3 over 5. Okay? What's next? Here it is, we have and notes that I want from you to take yourself in your notebooks. Please, because these steps are very important when you are calculating about the adding or subtracting fractions. Please pause the video and take a note. I have just 2 examples which they are going to be done for you. The first one is about subtracting the fractions. The second one will be about the addition of the fractions. So as you see here, if your denominators are not same, you must find your common factor for both denominators. The number 8 and 3, their common factor is 24 and you must make them equivalent. Okay. For the second part, 4 and 6 also, even they are both of them are different, so you cannot add them each other. Before you add your fractions, please make them same, okay, by the same common factor. So what is next? Here it is the mixed numbers, okay. I have already given the definition about the mixed numbers, which is written by the whole number and fraction part. Okay, when you are going to make any kind of operations about the mixed numbers, you can follow these methods, okay. And the last one, this is homework for you guys. In the conclusion of this section, I give you homework. This task is about adding and subtracting about fractions. Please just pause the video and take your pen or pencils, prepare your piece of paper, and please study on the questions, which is task to you at home. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me. I'm very appreciated to having you in this section. See you next time and keep hard working at home.